Let the dragon consume you! Enemy sighted. Stop the payload! Stop the payload! In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Birdwatcher's back at it one more time. Here's your host, Ryan and Clay. They're about to bring you some sweet, sweet Overwatch action.
All right, we're getting into the final week of Stage 2, and man, we had some sweet games, didn't we, Ryan?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. I mean, we always say it's crazy, but that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah, especially the progression, man. You're right. It's getting better.
yeah, a lot of teams, we have on the ladder or on the standings, you can see the switch of Mayhem and Dallas Mule.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like just a good week for everyone, well, except for, Shanghai, and then if you're Los Angeles playing New York, on Friday.
And if you guys listening at home want to look it up, somebody posted an infographic of longest losses, team losses.
Oh, geez.
Yes. Cleveland Browns. It shows some hockey teams, and then it has Dragons right in the middle of that. Was it 20 games now?
Yeah, 20 games. And I think, they're catching up to what the Browns, I can't remember the year, 26-game loss streak or something like that, which in football is a little different. I mean, 26 is almost 2 seasons, but
it's always fun to,
not too bad.
It's still a sport.
Going for a record.
It's not a
or
sport.
they have the record, yeah.
Yeah, man. Let's hop into Wednesday and get this thing going. It's our first week before the playoffs, so it ended on a high note. Nobody backed off, even for those who weren't in contention. Yeah,
and there was a bunch in contention too. What, like 7 teams, I think?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so Wednesday, March 21st, we had Florida and San Francisco battle it out. Chalk ended up taking it 3-2, taking Volskaya. No. Oh, I got that backwards. Actually, Florida take it 3-2.
Yeah.
Florida taking the first map, and it was back and forth from there. Shock taking the second. Nepal, Kings Row taken by Florida. Route 66 taken by Shock, and Ilios finalized it out by Mayhem.
Yeah, and a quick note. This was a big match of the week mainly because Sinatra, right?
Yeah, first map or match of the week, right? Or first match of the series.
First match. 18. Yeah, he turned 18 that previous Saturday. And everybody's obviously talking about it, headliner, as far as what to expect. But here, he showed that he belongs in the league. He wasn't doing outstanding, but you can see him, obviously nerves. You can see him getting into it. But this is also at a time where Mayhem is also stepping their game up overall.
Yeah, and he hasn't been screaming with the team every week. Mm-hmm. He's mainly been doing ladder, and I'm sure he's been practicing with the team a little bit, but just finally getting used to playing with the team every map or every match will be cool to see.
And he's getting better. Like the progress he makes from this game to later in the week is it shows why he's getting paid what he's getting paid.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential there, and you can tell if once they start stepping it up and start coordinating with him, man, they're going to be insane. Yeah. But so our next match was Shanghai versus Houston, and Houston takes a dominant 4-0.
Yeah, we do. I'm just joking. It's against the Dragons. Don't take my bragging seriously. I'm not that desperate.
Do you even practice on Tuesday for this match? You go out and have a good time, and then you get that bye on Wednesday. But
next stage, they have their full team.
Yeah, they have the Shanghai.
And if nothing changes, by God, I don't.
What do? You just get rid of everybody.
Just start over.
Start from scratch.
move the team to a new city.
Yeah, get them somewhere else. But yeah, that gets us into our feature match for Wednesday, which is Los Angeles Gladiators versus Philly.
Yes, so we have the 2 headlining teams for change, right? These are teams that pretty much show you that if you work hard enough, you can become what you always thought you could be. Yeah. Los Angeles Gladiators obviously been talked about as far as the big turnaround they've made once they acquired Fissure and how they've taken that moving forward. Philadelphia Fusion as well, picking up EQO not too long ago. And kind of establishing who they are, just getting better as a team, because they didn't really have a lot of pickups or anything crazy like that. They just kind of stepped their game up.
Yeah.
So we start out on Hanamura, where, the Fusion up to this point have had a 9-0 streak on for map wins in general, right? And that's pretty insane. That kind of shows you their turnaround ever since they picked up EQO and the confidence they have going into that. And, in round 1, after a quick 0.1 cap, LAG only get, and I say LAG, that's Los Angeles Gladiators. We're trying to shorten it here. But the Gladiators
lag.
Yeah, the lags. The lags. They only get 60% on point 2. There's a point where, triple tank comps we saw a lot this week, right? That's just across the board where we're seeing the either, Zarya, Reinhardt, Diva comps, or the Roadhog Diva Reinhardt comps.
Yeah, usually paired in there with. Were they throwing a Moira in this? I can't remember.
Yes, most teams were running the Moira Lucio.
Yeah, because that this fan bit of healing there too. I'm sure just kind of a wide cone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, the Fusion kind of lead this whole map because what they end up doing is since they stop the Gladiators from getting that initial push and they know they only need to get that 60% tick on the first point after they capped it, they just focus on ult economy and they have such a time bank that once they get all of the ults out of Gladiators, they move on to the point, pop what they need to pop, and then they kind of win that fight. It's very surgical. It's not really this one wasn't really exciting to start off when I was watching it. But one thing that stuck out again, one of the guys that's helped them kind of get into that winning position is EQO. You get to see him continuously connect dots, and him connecting dots on his because who's the who plays Genji on Gladiators? Can't remember off the top.
Hydration generally.
Yes, Hydration was having some issues on this first map. Actually, he wasn't on this first map. Asher was in for Hydration, if I remember correctly. Let me see.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Nope, it's Surefour. Was it Surefour? I can't remember. The swap between those three, whoever was in at the moment had trouble on Genji, and you could see the difference like when you had the juxtaposition right next to EQO. So, I mean, they take Hanamura without any issue, right? It's like, okay, then we move into the second map, and this is where you have the pushback from the Gladiators. So we go to Nepal. Gladiators have a better record than Philadelphia Fusion on control in general. And we've talked about, if matches ever go to a game 5, the team with the control map precedence usually wins that out just because of how that works, right?
Right.
But one thing we notice on this map is not that Philadelphia is doing a poor job, is that Los Angeles Gladiators do a real good job at stalling. So when they have the point, they don't really give it up straight away. They squeak, a couple more percentage points out of it, or they put it in a position where they can reset fights without losing the point, which is really impressive when you focus on that aspect. And the commentators kind of point that out as far as like Asher. Asher's great at touching point on Tracer. Like he'll always he'll seek out his goals, but he'll touch the point as he's going there to make sure that they don't flip it, to kind of keep it settled for long enough. And is that something that is that a trait that stands out to you for teams, like whether they're able to hold out or string out, certain events?
Yeah, especially when you watch some of these Korean teams, they not only are able to keep the points for longer, but they're also able to hold back their ults as well, where a lot of the, and I hate to say that, the middle of the line teams, they'll try to push every one of their ults into, saving a fight or saving a point, where sometimes, or most of the times, these Korean teams are able to just, hold one or two ults back. So even if they do lose a point, they can come back immediately, take it back, or they can just continue to string themselves back in. And especially Asher on this point did look really good getting back on the point, their Tracer for the map.
Yeah, and this is one of the control situations where they kind of take it 2-0, right? It's very dominant. So not only for cases where they're good at stalling their points out, but Fissure is great at flipping fights that are initially lost, right? So they'll get into bouts with Philadelphia Fusion where, Philadelphia Fusion gets a pick or two, and then Fissure is able to finish 2 kills right after that, or put them in a position where they can flip it back while they're stalling.
Right.
And that's something that's, that's a good first of all, that's a good team morale type type point, because most people just give up, or most teams just give up once they lose 1 or 2 people, because they're like, okay, now it's 4v6, but they never lose track. We talked about Gladiators comms, and when they communicate, how much information they're spewing and how they're kind of always knowing the situation on a higher level than most teams. So even though they may get picked, one person gets picked or 2 people get picked, they know that, they have 2 low people, and then Fisher's on it, right? He's on top of them, and then now it's balanced out again, and then they end up winning out. That's a great thing to have.
Oh, yeah, especially because most fights are lost just by one person going down. And if you're able to flip it really quickly and get a pick or 2 and swing it back in your favor, man, you're right. Team morale is definitely boosted by that kind of thing. Yeah,
and then we move to, in this match, we have hydration in now, and we move into that second round where his far accuracy is ridiculous. It's one of those things where he's having so many direct hits that they don't even have time to position correctly, and he's getting direct hits from across the map as well.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. It seems very overwhelming, doesn't it? Like when you're not even able to heal people back up to full at that point or get out of the way of these hits, man, it's scary.
Yeah, and it's just they lose on pure skill because you see hydration kind of he's directing the flow of that game, and everybody's just backing him up on that. So yeah, they take Nepal. So now we have a 1-1. Now it kind of shows that both these teams are progressing up the standings on their own merit, but they're kind of in the same field, right, as far as where they're at competitively. And we'll get to later in the week where that kind of rounds out. We'll move into Hollywood, where Surefour, we have Surefour coming for Asher, so now you have Surefour and Hydration as the duo there, and then we get Snillo, which I don't know if we've seen him before this point, because he's another player who just turned 18.
I think we might have seen him once last week. Yeah.
Okay.
So once last week on the Tracer mainly for one map. Yep.
Yes. Snillo's Tracer is real good.
Yeah. I think as you comment here, he turns 18. Those 18-year-old reflexes.
Man,
that's something we don't got anymore, man.
He looks great. He's a super baby face too. Like he looks like he's 12. But he's tall too.
Maybe we gotta get this guy's birth certificate out here. He might be cheating.
We got to double check that. But yeah, Snillo, his Tracer, there's one point where he's facing against a soldier, and when most Tracers, or just when you're doing in general, sometimes you have people who crouch spam, right, to essentially make sure that you don't get that headshot, right? They'll spam crouch. Well, he was crouching, but it was almost like it wasn't spamming, it was intentional, where like as he's fighting and soldiers adjusting his aim, he's picking his time to crouch and uncrouch, and it's just the most impressive thing to watch. It's almost like the Matrix. I don't want to be too dramatic. But yeah, the only thing about Snillo though, which commentators have pointed out, is that he likes to sit in the back a little bit too long, that back line, and he'll get picked off a good bit once they catch on to his movements. But he's real good at 2Ks. Like when it comes to like 2Ks per life, something that I point out with like SBB, he's great at doing that. He makes his moves, and he's constantly trying to pick someone off before he goes down.
Just interesting. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no. If you watch his cam too, when they put the cam on his face, it's almost like he moves his head like left to right as Tracer's moving. It's interesting to watch.
Like a roller coaster.
Yeah, like he's on a roller coaster the whole time, which is probably why they only put him for like 1 or 2 games. Because he probably burns himself out real quick.
Yeah, gets his neck's tired. Interesting. He goes 18-5 on this map, which is pretty insane as far as kill death ratio. It's pretty.
Yeah, because he's only in for 1 game, I believe. I think it's one game.
Yeah, him and Carpe both, man, just really, really performed well on this map.
Yeah, Carpe's Widow, just impressive. It's one of those cases where Surefour was playing well, but he was losing the battle. He was losing the battle, and there's also a thing where Carpe was focusing on picks, where Surefour was focusing on the duel, right?
Yeah.
And that's one dynamic you'll see with Widow against Widow, is like who has control of which one of those aspects. Because if you're getting the picks, then it doesn't matter if he wins the duel if you already killed 3 people. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's just math. But yeah, Fusion ended up taking that one, and then we move into Route 66, which is our map 4. and we have Hydration Asher subs in for Hydration. So now we got Asher and Surefour, and you can see what I was confused at the beginning because they're using all of them to their full capacity, right?
Yeah.
And I always forget. I'm like, okay, who's in now? Who's what? And they all look completely different on camera. But in my recollection, it's kind of confusing. But no, this is where Fusion kind of wrap it up on Route 66, and they just have that aggressive, almost Spitfire-esque type defense that just stops Gladiators from capping even .1, right? And Route 66 being one of those maps, if you don't cap .1 on Route 66, it's pretty much over.
Oh yeah, it feels bad.
Yeah, it's very rare that you have. There are some maps where you have a situation where you can still hold it, but there's something about the way it's designed or the confidence. It's just once you get around that first bend, if it's not all the way to the end, then you're pretty much much set to lose.
That's almost where the defense and the offense, their spawns are almost identical at that point. So if you're not getting the picks like past the gas station, man, it's so difficult to come back.
Yeah,
you just have such a far run as an offensive player too, which you normally don't have.
Yeah, and I apologize because I kind of lied to you guys. Snillo was in for this game, and that's one of the things that stood out was the matchup or the combo of him and Carpe. So Snillo on Tracer, Carpe on Widow, which Carpe's Widow is just above and beyond at this point. Like his Widow's getting better, and it's dangerous. Up there where I would say, Carpe as a player is getting a lot better, or at least showing more of his true colors or whatever, where I'm putting him, his Widow's up there with Bird Ring when I watch it. Maybe that's blasphemy. I don't know. But here, Gladiators tried to mimic their combo with their own Widow and Tracer, and it just doesn't work out. It doesn't look the same. I think they have Asher and who is it? Asher and Surefour. So Surefour is on the Widow, losing. Surefour's losing that battle against Carpe, and then Snillo's outdoing Asher on the Tracer, and it's just, you get what you get. You don't get .1. It's an easy cap. So they wrapped it up 3-1 overall, going towards the Fusion. And just to recap, that's Fusion taking Hanamura, Hollywood, and Route 66, and Gladiators only getting Nepal.
Yep.
So we get into Thursday, where we have, our honorable mentions. We have the Houston Outlaws versus the Seoul Dynasty.
Oh, happy about this one, aren't you?
Yeah, man. I wasn't going to brag about the Dragons one, but yeah, we beat the Dynasty, man. That's
that's actually no joke of a match, too, man. It was intense.
Yeah. So we take it 3-1, so we won't get into it here. I'm not going to be biased. We take it 3-1, taking Hanamura, Kings Row, and Gibraltar, and Dynasty take Nepal. And then we move into our second honorable mention, which is New York Excelsior versus Dallas Fuel.
Taking it to 5.
Taking it to 5. I know, this is an interesting one as well. Like, our honorable mentions for this week or this day are very, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, with matches getting as close as they have been over the last couple of weeks, man, it's kind of, hard to pick and choose. But yeah, cool that they did take it to 5.
Yeah. New York actually, squeezing it out, maintaining that number 1 spot, taking it 3-2.
Yep.
Taking Hanamura, Hollywood, and Ilios. And then Fuel taking Lijiang and Gibraltar. And just to point out, we mentioned earlier on previous podcast, New York being the best at control maps, and that they constantly are taking that 5th map whenever they put their push to it. So, always keep that in mind.
Yeah. Oh, just a quick side note. This is the first match where Seagull is coming out and playing Diva, and actually performed pretty well on the Diva, especially. It's kind of hard to tell where you sit, when you're coming into a match like this. You're playing against a really good team, and you're playing a character you're not really familiar with. Did pretty well.
Yeah, and he said
I was impressed.
He came out and said that he practiced a good bit, trying to get that right. And I prefer Mickey on Winston.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because his Diva was too iffy, and just his playstyle, I think, fits better to Winston
absolutely.
than it does Diva. And then having Seagull there, who's just a more well-rounded player in general.
I think if we just get Taimu off the Winston, anything could be better, right?
Anything could be better.
Yeah. Pull somebody out from the crowd.
By raffle.
Yeah. But yeah, feature match.
Yeah, let's take us into it, man.
Yeah, we had the Shock versus the Boston Uprising. And this is the second match of the week for the Shock, and the second match with Sinatra in. So
Yes.
Yeah, so map 1, it's Shock take it, but it is Hanamura, and we see some early dive from the uprising like we generally see on defense, and they hop on them, kind of take them off guard there. You had some stats for us. You said early that Boston have a 72% win rate on assault.
Yes, but on Hanamura, they're 0-4.
Oh, geez. They're a Volskaya only map.
Exactly.
We don't like this other one that's designed exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting situation. But they do, you mentioned that intensive dive that kind of puts Shock on the back foot, right?
Yeah, especially if you're not ready for it, man. It really does take you off guard.
Yeah. But, I mean, Shock get back into it. And we're seeing, this is our second time seeing the Sinatra this week. I guess that's back-to-back days, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a good way to get into it. But he is better.
Yeah, he definitely is. And he plays a very aggressive tracer style where he likes to get in there and get some picks. And you just you need the backup of your tanks. And I think once these tanks and Sinatra get on the same page, man, this is going to be a team in Stage 3 that is a force to reckon with.
Yeah.
That being said, Stryker wants to welcome Sinatra to the league and gives him a little bit of the teabag action.
Oh, yeah.
At one point,
the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah, which they coined on in the commentary, which I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thanks, Uber.
Yeah,
he's great, man.
Which is odd bringing Sinatra. I mean, Sinatra coming up, Dante doing so well in the Tracer in the last couple of games. Dante shifting over to more of the Genji style doesn't look as comfortable. I will say that. Yeah, he doesn't look as comfortable. His blades look a little bit inconsistent. Where you see somebody more comfortable on a Genji, their blades are more fluid. We see Green Casper. Yeah, fluid blades. He, like you said, he finds the dots.
And watching Dante pop blade and then look for people.
He's nervous, man.
I was like, you're doing it in the wrong order.
That's what I look like. And they say, hey, well, Lap, what happened? They trans, I think. I don't know.
I got the trans. No, they still got it, bro.
Yeah. Somebody booed me. I don't know. But that's what it looks like. He just not as comfortable as somebody. But that comes in time, right? You're automatically supposed to be shifted over to a different hero that plays totally different than a Tracer does. Just some work.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shock take this one after a pretty big time pool. Take the third point and win the map.
Yeah.
Brings us into Nepal. Which Boston ends up winning this one. Dream Casper map 1, pretty insane on the Widow.
Oh yeah,
I think
he's in form.
Yeah. Shock shift off a traditional dive comp. They switch over to the Orisa Hog, which you see on this map sometimes because you get the big pulls, you get people off. They looked uncomfortable because we brought Baby Bay in. He was supposed to be the counterpart as far as countering the other hit scan, and just not able to get very comfortable. They put people on him. Stryker gets on the back line. They really put him under a lot of threat.
Yeah.
And Dream Casper left alone. And
I can say, this is only our second time seeing him, but I think your right mix from both player pool and play style is Dante Sinatra as far as your combos. Baby Bay, I mean, the soldier, he plays almost like an AKM type situation where I think the soldier's fine. But we see here, his soldier's not. He feels kind of out of it. He's holding visors for a really long time. He's kind of too confident in finishing kills that he doesn't end up finishing, and things along those lines. And it's just that when Dante and Sinatra are in, and we'll see towards the end of this, when they get rolling, they are probably the best combo at this point.
Oh yeah, they really get a dive going and they get the picks they need. Yeah, you're right. I mean, especially when it is very difficult for HitScan to be really, really viable right now compared to dive, you have to be getting picks Dream Casper is on these Widows. I mean, he gets a 3K at one point where no one is looking at him from the bridge, and it just takes over the map. And this is at the point where Shock had taken the point, and Dream Casper takes it back by himself. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. And spoilers, this problem, Dream Casper, this is him showing what he's going to continue doing for the rest of this match, which I can only imagine how tiring it must be to be on the opposite end of it. because this doesn't stop here.
Yeah.
And along with Dreamcasper stepping it up, Striker gets into his flow as well. Where Striker, like you put here, he's just sitting on supports, which is something we've seen SBB do very well and consistently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's it pays dividends. I mean, if there's no one alive to heal, everything else dies. It's pretty straightforward.
Yep. But yeah, Boston takes the first map, loses. No, I think they take this 2-0. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
They take both the maps here.
Yeah.
That gets us into Hollywood, where, like you had brought up, Dreamcasper is a threat to be sought after, and no one looks for him.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, first of all, we get Sinatra subbed out, which is hilarious. If I'm paying $150 for something, I don't care.
You better see it. Yeah.
If I was paying $150 for a bag of rice, that bag of rice is sitting in that chair.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
Because we're 5v6 in it, but I paid $150,000.
So we got Baby Bay back in, and I guess this is generally a map that is won by Widow, and Baby Bay is traditionally our hit scan player. So I can understand why bringing him, but bringing Sinatra out, man, seems tough. And Boston definitely capitalizes on it.
Yeah, Dante's not crushing it here. Dante's playing all right. Sinatra's the one kind of creating that space. Yeah. Which a lot of people have been taught is, creating space has been a big deal. Like Kabaji, if anybody watches him, he talks about, playing Tracer and how to help create space a good bit as far as educating the community. But yeah, when Sinatra's in, you get that space and Dante's able to kind of warm up and get in a better comfort zone. But here, Bebe's not really doing anything with the Widow, and Dante's not able to help out in that situation. So they both end up falling.
Yeah, it's insane. Dreamcasper is able to put the divers in a position where they're forced to jump on him. He's getting supported by his supports, and they, Shock is leaving their supports, kind of high and dry, leaving Striker and the tanks for the Boston Uprising to just hop on him, get a couple early picks, whatever. You get Striker, you don't get Striker, you lost both your supports. You're not going to continue to win a fight without those guys. So they get stuck up on Hollywood, and then the Uprising offense is pretty quick. They never switch off of Farah right in the face of Baby Bay, which is kind of
that's disrespectful.
Kind of a kick in the teeth, but it never switches off the Farah. They just hop on him really quick. Baby Bay's not able to quite get the distance between him like Dreamcasper was on his defense, and they roll right through.
Yeah, and then we get to Route 66. So now we're 2-1 in Uprising's favor. On the back of Dreamcasper. But we get Sinatra back in, as it should be. He should always be in. And I think they'll get to that point. They're just kind of trying to ease it in. But come on, you're paying the money. Play the guy.
I think this is what the Shock at its best form will look like. Because you see the dives become more consistent. They are picking targets, and they're getting kills very quickly. Pretty intense.
Do you remember who Sinatra is playing? Because I think Dante was on Tracer in this match. Or this map.
Let's see.
I can't remember off the top of my head. But as I mentioned, though, once it's almost like an instant change. Because now you have Sinatra back in, Dante's in there, Sinatra's creating that space, and Dante starts performing better, right? And that's...
they look like they definitely flow together. Yeah, you're right.
I was right on...
Oh, I'm pulling that up real quick.
Okay, cool. Outside of that, I mean, there are cases where... So Sinatra, one thing that impresses me about him, and there's another Tracer we'll talk about later in the week that also kind of exhibits this, is his focus, right? So when you're playing Tracer, or at least when you watch Tracers being played, sometimes you have the case of either they're just doing what they can do or just always doing something. That I mean, like, okay, I'm going to shoot a tank until somebody runs by my view, then I'll try to kill them. If I don't one-clip them, then I'll move on to the other target. But when Sinatra is playing Tracer, he has a goal in mind, right? So if he's going after a support, if he's going after Mercy, he's going to kill Mercy and then go on to his next task, right? Which is, okay, let me demech Diva. And then he'll demech Diva, and then he goes on to his next task. And I kind of treat it almost like connecting the dots with Genji, where, if you have somebody who can focus like that, it's great to watch. And it helps the team out because you always know he's going to do what he says he's going to do, right?
Yeah,
unless something permits that he no longer does that, like a Dima bomb or if Winston jumps on him in primals or X, Y, and Z. But that kind of focus is very impressive because when I play Tracer, it's just, hey, I need to keep hitting shift and I need to make sure I'm doing something all the time.
Yeah, you're right. He does pinpoint people, and Sinatra does play Tracer for the bulk of this map, and Dante is on our the Sombra and Genji.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, because he does end up getting a couple EMPs, nothing high impact, but sometimes EMPs when they're just getting one or two people can be high impact enough.
Yeah. And then we move on to our final map, or tiebreaker, because we're 2-2 here, and that's Ilios, the control map.
Which generally favors the team that is better at diving, but Dreamcasper, man, he kills at map 1 on Pharah, kills it. And when you have to switch over to something, say you're like, man, this Pharah is destroying us, you got to switch over to a hit scan. It generally puts you on the back foot because it takes you off your initial game plan, right?
Yeah.
And Dreamcasper ends up just wrecking their plans, and he ends up booping Sinatra off, who switches to a soldier at some point to take care of him. Sinatra gets his ult, and Dreamcast was like, nah, how about you find the well real quick?
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah.
And that's round 1, and then round 2 they respect that because there was a little bit of stubbornness for them to start dealing with it, or at least attempt to deal with it.
Yeah, it was pretty late in map 1 for sure.
Yeah, they took their time, and when we get to round 2, we see them. Okay, we're going to come out with the soldier, deal with the Pharah, and then once they do that, Dreamcasper, being smart, even being in the zone he's in, switches to Widow on the third round, right?
Oh yeah, this is his map, man.
And then he just goes off because it's Ilios Ruins, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And the whole time, it's almost like this foreshadowing where everybody knows that if they win the second one, we're going to Ruins, and you're not going to win that Widow battle with the way he's been playing. And that's exactly
and I think
what happens.
I think Sinatra's actually forced to play the Widow, and this is a map like Hollywood Streets where the Widow, the better winner or Widow wins the map, And Dreamcaster's Widow was insane on this. It seemed like it was all him, And you're, like I said, when you're forced to try to put people on characters that might not be as comfortable with, you're putting yourself on a back foot that it's hard to come back from.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, Boston Uprising,
real tight map though. Yeah.
It was fun to watch. Definitely good watch.
A good one. I like to see the Shock putting things together, and I think, like I said, stage 3, this is going to be their stage to come up and show themselves.
We have a lot of teams getting their shit together, man, and that's always good to see. And just to mention here, speaking of getting their stuff together, even they didn't win, Nomi's Winston, I've talked about it before, where I was never really impressed by it, but it's getting better. He's making a lot of smart plays.
Yeah, him and Fraggy both, man. Those are the Winstons that are impressing me this stage for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially improvements. I mean, we also obviously have Gesture and Fisher. We have those guys that are already at the top, but these guys are not far behind.
Yeah, so congrats, Boston Uprising. Dreamcasper doing his thing, a.k.a. Ark's best friend. They're always hanging out, which is cool to see. But yeah, all right.
All right, that brings us into Friday, where London is lucky enough to get the bye for Shanghai Dragons. Yeah.
I just, it's funny. I looked at the notes. I was like, bye. Oh, wait. No, that's right.
They had that, especially going into to week 5, man. You look at Shanghai on the schedule, you're like, man, it's going to be a good Friday night.
I wish, it's one of those cases where I wish the joke would get old, but they keep losing.
Too. Yeah. Yeah. Man, it's so sad. I'm crying on the inside.
Well, next stage is their stage. It has to be, right?
No, it
before the government steps in.
Yeah. Somebody just kicks them out of the league.
11 teams stand.
We're replacing you, buddies. But yeah, so London does take it 4-0. They play Hanamura, Nepal, Hollywood, and Gibraltar. Okay. So our next match was Seoul and Florida. Seoul taking it 3-1. Taking the first 2 maps, Hanamura, Nepal, giving Florida the third map, Hollywood, and taking Route 66.
Yeah, and then we get into our feature of the day. So, we talked about, one of these teams at the beginning of the week, which was Philadelphia Fusion.
Yep.
Kind of the stuff they've been doing, how they've been winning and coming, performing better as one of those teams that have turned it around. And then there's Los Angeles Valiant. And I'll let you talk a little bit about the off the field stuff as far as what's been going on. Give everybody kind of a, if they haven't heard it already, if they haven't seen the memes, just kind of give them a brief overview of what's been going on with them.
So the Los Angeles has split their roster into two teams, where I don't know if they've done this as far as a staffing situation or the coaches saying, hey, you guys need to figure out. But they've pretty much have a main team and an off team.
Yeah, poor leadership.
Yeah. So this kind of pins these teams against each other. They obviously have some really talented guys on the bench, including one who is agilities, where we get into an inside the Valiant or inside the Los Angeles Valiant.
It's like a reality type, yeah.
Yeah, a video series they're doing, and they pretty much they bring agilities aside and they say, man, this is your chance. This is your last chance to make it to the main squad. And that being said, he has an interview. They say, or he's had these problems with people backlashing on him and stuff like that. And he's a young kid. He's 18, 19 years old, and he's getting a lot of negativity from his teammates, which has got to be very difficult. But I guess it's the CEO or one of the coaching staffs. They take him to this real nice restaurant. They take him to the In-N-Out Burger in Los Angeles, which is probably one of the better places you could take somebody for a serious meeting. They get him a hamburger. They get him a hamburger and shake, I hope.
Yeah.
They say no, agilities. You can't get the sides. You get a hamburger only. Until you're on the main squad, you don't get anything. You pay for your own meal.
Yeah.
But yeah, they sit him down, and this is all, it's got to be for show, right? But it's a terrible show because what kind of morale does this kind of thing bring on for the team?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just showing conflict in your team going into the final stage. They pretty much give an ultimatum. It's like, hey, I know that most teams don't do this, but this is your last chance.
Yeah, which is weird. It's weird, and Clay and I have kind of talked about this kind of establishes that I don't think a 12-man squad, like the full roster, is not going to work because you can't end up with these situations. To think about it, if they only had 8 people on the team, there's no natural way for them to end up with a B squad, right?
A full team.
Yeah, a whole full team that's not being used, and then essentially is creating their own identity because of poor management.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the misfit youth over there.
Yeah. But all that to be said, that we finally get it gives some transparency into what happened. So when Kareev came out, when Kareev started playing DPS, everybody was confused what's going on.
Yeah.
Considering they had 2 other DPS they weren't using, being Agilities and Silk Thread. And here we find out why. They essentially put Kareev in the position where, he wants to play support. He hasn't played DPS in a year, and they force him to essentially fill that role to have a spot on the main squad or be on the B team.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a happy-go-lucky guy. And there's one point in the interview where they ask him, "So are you on the main squad or the B squad?" And he's like, "I'm on both." And because he wants to, and they finally let him, once they get rid of their coach, who's kind of a D-bag, and they get the new coach from South Korea, I believe. South Korean coach.
Yeah, he's also a D-bag.
Yeah, but he's a little nicer about it. But he's real with them, but he also has the aspect of, hey, we're still one team. Like this 2-team thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then they kind of work through it. Now we're seeing Agilities back on the main stage. So all that being said, they come to this match with Fusion, who have their shit together now.
It just seemed like poor marketing going into this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just shows levels of we are confused, or we're making things complicated and we're not coordinated. But coming in against the Fusion, who are definitely on one track.
Yeah. So we start with Hanamura. Hanamura is pretty straightforward. There's no action here really. Besides, we get to see Soon on Widowmaker, which is awkward. I mean, his Widowmaker's fine. It's just that it's awkward to see Soon playing Widowmaker.
Yeah, I mean, we know he's good at McCree. It's just, the inconsistencies in the Widowmaker. I don't know, man, tough to see.
It reminds me of whenever I see Carpe switch to McCree. All right, it's like, wait, what are you doing now? Why?
And Carpe is a very good McCree.
Exactly.
We're so used to seeing him on Tracer and dominating on Tracer. Why are we getting him off there? And this is the case where Los Angeles Valiant start off
kind of slow because they attempt that dive comp, but they don't have that coordination. We got to remember, everybody remembers that they're a trilingual team, and that's a big deal, right? There's a lot
they bring that up, over and over, and that's got to be the big. I mean, especially your coaching staff is Korean as well.
Yeah,
and then you have two French guys on the main squad. You got a Canadian guy in agilities, and then you obviously have some Korean guys on the staff. Man, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's. I understand it. I feel like they should come up with some code, or essentially some middle ground, like Klingon.
Or just a new language. Yeah,
or just Klingon. A new language.
Yeah, just a valiant language. Because, dude, there's no way that all three of them can learn English, French. I mean, it'll be tough.
To keep it simple. And they even mentioned, to go back to the off the field stuff, is that when the coach first shows up, the coach doesn't speak English. He's a translator. So there's a situation where I respect where he's like, we're going to do some issue resolution where I want people to start getting out how they feel, but they have to do it in 3 different languages and then translate it and then get the message.
That.
And it's just
like that.
Yeah, it's a very lost in translation. And if you watch the video, you can see when Verbo is like trying to follow what everybody's saying, and you can see his confusion on his face as far as, everybody's emotionally distressed, but now we're trying to resolve this in 3 different languages.
Maybe that's why they brought him to the In-N-Out. You can't be upset over a nice hamburger or two. You know what I'm saying? That's where your team meetings need to be, not just with the agilities.
In-N-Out.
Yeah. Maybe everybody's on the same page then. You know what I mean?
Everybody loves burgers and fries.
Yeah. Everybody's happy too.
But yeah, so it's a pretty straightforward thing. By the time Los Angeles Valiant switched to a poke comp, which you're more comfortable with, it's a little bit too late. And then Philadelphia Fusion has that time bank to work with, and they use that to their advantage to lock it out. And then we move to Nepal, our control map, in the middle there, where Verbo subs in for Unko. And that's something we'll see where Unko hasn't really swapped out in the majority of the season, if you think about it. Right? And this comes on the back of some of the background stuff that now everybody knows about.
Yeah. Man, I brought this up to you earlier in the week. Mm-hmm. When they go over these comms sometimes, man, Unko sounds like he is crying. when he is calling people out, he sounds like he is physically crying.
Yeah.
Man, it's got to be disturbing as far as the DPS.
Yeah, that's something that they mentioned where Unko likes to... It's part of their old coach's problem. For some reason, their first coach told them, when something happens, call people out, like during the game. And that's not something you coach. That's something you prevent because you want resolution to be handled outside the game when everybody can recollect on what happened versus when you're in the moment. If you make a mistake, keep it going, keep comms going, keep it flowing. But that's what Unko does on comms, and that causes a problem because they speak 3 different languages.
Yeah.
There's no room for that noise.
You can't have a translator telling, somebody, agilities, what Unko said about him in the middle of a match. That's insane.
Oh my God, it feels like a ladder, or it sounds like a nightmare.
It does,
so this is a situation where Philadelphia Fusion have a poor record on Nepal. They're 1-4 in this stage. Yeah. So it actually doesn't go their way, and then Los Angeles Valiant actually do a really good job of nullifying EQO's Dragon Blades. I think he has about 3 over the course of this. So he has problems getting him as fast as he usually does. And then every time he does, he's either dead or he gets nothing out of it. Kind of semblance to what we saw with Dante in earlier games where it was uncharacteristic. Yeah,
and soon does really well here. It goes 12-3 where EQO goes 1-5. So he gets one a limb the entire 2 maps, which is
Soon
insane.
Always does good. That's something that, we don't even talk about anymore.
$150,000.
Yeah, that's the good thing about Sinatra starting is that now we have the ceiling, right? We have who's going to start? Because Carpe's going to need more money. Soon's going to need more money. There's some players here who I don't know what they're getting paid, but we're going to have to make sure it's the right amount.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we move to Kings Row, and this
yes. Get to see my boy Fraggy on the Reinhardt, man.
He's so good.
Everybody knocks this guy's Winston, and it's understandable. He's not the best Winston in the league.
Yeah.
But dude, he is a very good Reinhardt. I put him up there top tier Reinhardt in the league for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's best Reinhardt in the league. And it wasn't just watching him do it against Fate. It's later in the week when we see him do it against Gesture. Yeah. Gesture in a later game. And it's one of those cases where people look at Reinhardt, and even people on ladder, or they just look at him as a character and he's so simple. it's just X, Y, and Z. And you watch Fraggy play, and the decision making he does is just he does the right thing all the time. He blocks, the opposing ults as he needs to. He lands his when he needs to. He loves to do that sneaky thing where like he'll go high
twice. Yeah. Oh, dude. Every time I see him go back there, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good one, dude. And sure enough, dude, they're good shatters. But yeah, man, when it's a Rhine v. Rhine duel, I think he plays better than anybody else. And that's really important. When you're fighting another Rhine, is keeping up with their ult, keeping up with your ult, keeping up with their shield. There's a lot of in and outs. Yeah. I can't keep saying in and out.
Wait, okay, did you do that on purpose, or are you just that smooth?
No, it's from like the Big Lebowski. They keep saying in and out because they're in LA the whole time.
That was
a lot of in and outs, dude.
Oh man, but no. So here we see, we get to see Poco and Zarya. That's another thing where people forget how good Poco Zarya is. And then on top of that, Ikkyo's like, yeah, I'll just play D.Va for you because he does have a big pool. Even though they brought him in for the Genji.
Played some Tracer later on. Yeah. Very good.
We're getting to see more of it, and he continues to impress me. We get less of the cockiness now. That's kind of out of the forefront of new guy with an attitude, and you can see he's now a part of the team, and he's more humble and he's playing to the team's strengths. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say it's funny you bring that up because he has that cockiness, that suave about him. Going in, he won't even, he's like, man, this guy looks pretty cool. He sits down at the computer, then he puts on these bottle cap glasses. I'm like, come on, dog. You're killing me.
Yeah, man.
You're killing me.
Got to throw him off.
But he does have a wide range of heroes he can play.
Yeah, and then we get to essentially, they have a triple tank, good push, right? And what happens on King's Row, where Fusion usually gets people, is that people mimic their comp, right? And they're real good. They're real good on King's Row.
Dude.
So on attack, we see, so they capture it, and then when Los Angeles Valiant are on attack, they try triple as well, and they cater more towards the Space Dragon comp of the triple tank, and they botch it.
They do botch it. I think we had, who was it? Agility's playing the Hanzo, and I can't remember who was playing the Zarya, but they end up getting a combo, but it's a two-man combo. It's just not enough. Yeah. I mean, like you said, they try to mimic the same thing. Just it makes me wonder. Fusion gets this. They play insanely after point one. Is it all a waste if the offense can't even get point one?
Is it all for naught? I mean, in hindsight's 2020.
I guess so, because at one point, Poco gets this huge grab, and then Fraggy follows up with a huge shatter, getting a quick 6K, just like right off the bat. And I'm like, man, that's insane. It didn't even matter. Y'all could have stopped after the archway. You know what I mean? Just gave it up.
Save some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we even got on defense, we got to see EQ on Roadhog, which we've seen more of before the D.Va.
And it was insane.
Dude, 73% hook accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah, and putting hooks, he gets a hook on Verbo at one point on Lucio, where he was not going to kill him, but he had Poco right next to him ulting. He was like, oh shit, I'm going to pull him right into this ult. And sure enough, he pulls him right into Poco's D.Va bomb. It was insane placement. Man, insane.
So good. So good. But yeah, so as you can tell from how we've been talking about this, when Fusion take King's Row, just to add it to their record, I think it's their best map. Stat-wise, and then we move into Gibraltar, where I didn't think it was going to happen, but we kind of get pushed into Game 5 after this. But we get Unko on Gibraltar. We get Unko subbed back in for Verbo, so you now have that Zenyatta back in there. Yep. And we get to see Soon back on the Widow, which always is just weird. It's weird. Like even the coloring looks weird because you don't get to see it much, right?
Right.
But no, Soon has some pretty critical snipes on this map, and then he stalls out the full push from Fusion, and pretty much they carried on the back of Soon. His sniping was just on point. Like, I'm not gonna get absurd to start ranking him. Right? But one thing that stands out to me is because, I've talked to friends who play Widow and more snipe characters, and I play Ana, mainly a support player. But I've always kind of been like, I'm not really a flick type sniper or shooter in general. I don't really flick to targets. I'm more of a tracker, and that's where my skills sit. And watching Soon play Widow gets me hyped because he's not really a flick player either. Like he's inflicted targets. He's usually predicting. So like anything, like let's take Genji for example, you know, for you people out there, is like when Genji does his double jump and his dash is on cooldown, he has to succumb to gravity like everybody else, right? So you kind of know where his body's going to end up, and you just snipe once he gets there. And that's how Soon plays, and he's so good at it that it's a different type of effect from like when Bird Ring goes on a tear, because Bird Ring is flicking, you know, left, right, just picking people off. But Soon's very calculated and murderous, and it's great to watch. And they ride that all the way to a win here on this map.
Yeah, Soon ended up going 21-12 on this map. So
oh man,
definitely the highest kill rate on this map between both teams. So pretty good.
Yeah, and then we move to our final map, which is Ilios, control based, right?
Yeah, had to take it to 5, man.
Yeah, took it to 5, and even took it to the 3 rounds. They went all 3 rounds.
Yeah, it was insane.
The first one was whatever, and then the second one, Fusion, you know, 100% to 0, just stay in it, which is pretty convincing. Especially, you know, they fought this long to get there, and then we move into round 3, where you know, Kareev's Pharah is really good here. I mean, it's not good enough, but it's really good here.
Yeah, this map, this last, like, you know, 2 minutes of this map, man, were insane.
Yeah. And this is where, you know, Soon is just so consistent. It's one of those things where even when they got in a situation where it was hard, you know, we had his Widow play, which we're like, okay, his Widow was insane. He showed out in a character that he doesn't play. We don't see much. We don't expect to see him on in case of emergencies, or only in case of emergencies. And he goes back to Tracer and just picks up where he left off, and he's just playing out of his mind. Like this is him at his top level, where he's stalling out points, he's picking off supports, he's, you know, getting the bomb sticks when he needs to get the bomb sticks, doing everything he needs to do. And these are the scenarios where I really think that I'm like, okay, Valiant, you have this guy giving 110%. Come on, back him up, right?
Yeah, no joke. I mean, I think even that last fight, he stays alive for like 2.5 minutes.
Oh yeah,
him and Carpe both, man, just battling it out the whole time. Not actually fighting each other, but fighting people around the point. But those are the only two keeping that 99 fight alive. Yeah, it was crazy.
If you guys are listening to this, go back and just watch just watch him play, because positioning, everything is like very deliberate. You know, I talked about Snillo, or not Snillo. I talked about who was it with the laser focus? We've been talking for a while, but I talked about that Tracer laser focus in general. And
Sinatra, yeah.
Yeah, Sinatra's laser focus, and it's like that's the same situation here, where you can see him going down a checklist of, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and then when he dies, it's like, okay, I did what I could, and it's time for the rest of the team to kind of step up, and they don't. They drop the ball there, and you know, maybe once they get all their off the field stuff, because Soon seems like to be the only person who's not really being affected by it much.
Yeah, he seems like a quiet guy, kind of keeps to himself. So it's kind of hard to get wrapped up in the emotions. I mean, we don't know. You know,
we don't know. There. All we got is what they give us, right?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, here, I mean, Philadelphia Fusion or LA Valiant, once they get their stuff together, it looks like they could compete at that level of the Philadelphia Fusion. But right now, it's just they have too much other stuff going on, and that shows. Yeah. That shows in the play.
Yep, it does.
So yeah, once again, Fusion take it 3-2, taking Hanamura, Kings Row, and the final map, Ilios, and Valiant taking Nepal and Gibraltar. All right, we finish out the week with the Dallas Fuel versus London Spitfire. A 3-1 kind of match here. It's pretty straightforward. Spitfire taking Volskaya, Nepal, and Route 66, with the Fuel taking Hollywood. And then we have our other 2 matches of the day. We got a bonus for you. We're gonna do 2 today, which puts us at 5 total. Which is, you know, it just means we have no life outside of this, but it's for you guys. So
no life, and then after watching Los Angeles
exactly
play New York, I was like, God, gotta get a win in this last game.
I gotta get some value. Yeah, so we get Los Angeles Valiant versus New York Excelsior. This was our original map of the day, and it doesn't go that well It's a 4-0 by NYXL, so spoilers. But we're going to kind of run through it and see what happened. It's pretty straightforward. So first map, we get Volskaya, and we get to see Soon's Widow again, which I'm getting used to at this point. And I'm liking to see it because it's badass. He doesn't drop the ball. The guy is just reliable.
Yeah. He's putting everybody on his shoulders and trying to get him over that finish line.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. There's even a case here where in round 2 on point 1, they're on attack. Agilities completely botches his blade, right? Gets taken out right when he pops it, and then Soon follows up with a 3K and they're able to cap the point. And it's just like, when are you going to give the man like either a break or when are you going to step up to his level? Because you have to. If you had a second guy who you could rely on all the time, I think that's what puts LAV over. They need that second guy who's not. I mean, Silk Thread can't do it. Agilities, they said he has a lot of potential. Still waiting to see that. I mean, he's good.
Yeah, they need the Libero to the SBB, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we don't see Libero as being the top-notch player, but he's consistent. He's always there. He's getting his picks. He's not a show-out like SBB, getting a ton of kills, but he's always consistent.
Exactly. And there's even a case here where the Valiant start out real strong. They just roll over NYXL on the first round, but they don't follow up. And they end up taking it out, right? Like they ramp up and they fall off real quick, and we see the same problems we've been seeing. And now we know, like we've been watching, we just talked about it in the last match or the previous day, and we see it here where their off the field stuff still isn't resolved, and it's going to take some time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we move into Paul, which once again we reiterate, control map is where NYXL lives. They're real good at it. And on the Paul, they usually play far up, but they don't here, which is interesting. That's something we see is like they give us these stats and they're like, hey, this is what usually happens, and then it doesn't happen. Or, hey, this team usually wins, and they don't win here.
Yeah.
But this isn't the case because NYXL, they completely crush it here. Once again, they're making it very difficult for Agilities to get anything going. This is the second map. Soon still playing as well as Soon does. But they even get in the situation they start picking off Fate when he gets just out of position. And it's just dominant, right? It's just a dominant display.
Yeah, and Fate was out of position a lot. This whole series. I don't know if this is a communication thing or just getting ahead of himself thing. He seems to get out, get himself picked very early in fights, and you got to have that main tank there.
Yeah, and then we move into Hollywood. So Excelsior now 2-0. We get Janice subbing in for Mono, which is usually what we see. I don't remember, and remind me if I'm correct. Is Janice the more defensive Winston?
He's more of the Winston that likes to hide.
Okay.
Go in, get a pick, and then get out really quick.
Okay.
Where Mono is generally your Winston that will get in, get some kills or, make room. Janice is more of the guy that's in the back lines, getting picks or jumping on the supports without being seen, getting up to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a really big Genji. Really
that's a great way to put it. That's a great
really fat Genji. Or Tracer, either one. Yeah.
It reminds me of the poster I saw where somebody was like, "Give Reinhardt Dragon Blade."
Oh man, that'd be sweet.
Man, just swings the hammer around and just starts. Oh, that'd be great.
Just chopping people up.
But one thing that's not sweet here is how they get beat up again. Like Los Angeles Valiant is not in a mental state to play NYXL, especially on playoff week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like map to map, it gets worse, right? It doesn't seem like it's getting any better.
Oh yeah, it's not by no means it's getting better. So they take Hollywood. I mean, NYXL has this ball. They're known for their defense, right? So if you don't provide any type of heavy push or a large time bank, you're not going to come out the other end. And this is a case where we see Los Angeles Valiant have a hard time dealing with God, I'm tongue tied here. Dealing with Libero's Farah. And the whole case is like what they end up doing is they have to double down on the hit scan to take care of the Farah, and then they have to deal with SBB, right? It's like, okay, now how do we deal with him? Because now he's going to switch to supports and just sit on supports, and then you don't have that resolution there. So it's one or the other, right? And then you still have Jonak, and Jonak's always a problem. So those three aspects is like either you have to excel at what you're doing already, because once you have to adjust to NYXL, you're already fighting a uphill battle.
Yeah. I mean, case in point, we brought it up earlier. If you're trying to adapt, I mean, you're not really adapting. You're just trying to fix a problem, and man, NYXL will take advantage of that very quickly.
Yeah, and then we move into, we say that for Hollywood, we move into Route 66, which is our final map. Excelsior have already taken the map 3-0 at this point, but you get map differential, especially this close to playoffs. We have Mono subbing back in for Janice, but this is exactly the same problem we see on Hollywood. And like you said, this just escalates and it builds on top of each other, excluding Los Angeles Valley and off-field stuff. In this game, their problems are just compounding.
Yeah.
SBB sits on support. Slibberose Farah keeps giving them problems. They do the swap to double hit scan again, and then they have to deal with Jonak and SBB, and it's just not ideal. Although Agilities does look pretty good at this point.
He gets some early picks, some early kills by himself. That it shows that he is one of these Genjis that is a top-notch player. It's just, man, when your team is not coordinating and backing up the Soon and Agilities, it's going to be very difficult to capitalize on.
So here's
those.
my question to you, Clay. Then is the new coach has talked about Agilities having the highest ceiling on the team in his opinion, but he's been kind of stagnated or shortchanged by the situation that was going on, so he's lost some time. Do you think that they do? Do you think Los Angeles Valiant do have their SBB Libero combo? It's just that Agilities has to be allowed to get to that point?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not only just getting his confidence level up, because obviously when you're getting taken out every other map or every other match and you're questioning your abilities on Agilities. Sorry, that was terrible.
Yeah?
But yeah.
You got to focus on Agilities, man.
Yeah, you're just you're trying to getting his confidence level back up. I think the combination between him and Soon has got to be top level. It's just getting the dive down, getting the coordination of getting the supports killed really quick. I think that's their biggest thing. And Agilities just looks shaken almost every other match. It's like, dude, you have the skills, you're just putting them out there and using them.
Yeah, and just to praise NYXL, even though it was an easy win for them, they came into this with a 3-1 win record on all these maps already. So they were already favored, and then playing a team that's currently in a bad state. But on top of that, I mentioned about Sinatra, I mentioned Snilio, but we have to talk about the main guy who really stands out when it comes to that laser focus, where this one. Specifically, SBB is who I'm talking about, if you were surprised. But the stats actually line up where you see him week to week. He usually has a different line of thinking. There are some weeks where he'll focus on tanks, on taking out tanks and dealing with the strategy from that standpoint. There's some games where or some matches or weeks where he'll focus on supports. And then there are some weeks where he'll focus on DPS. And I don't know if that's him challenging himself or if it just works for the people they play. But it's impressive, man, especially being kind of the leader of the team, for someone to have that much control. And that's why I always wish that Soon was more of an outspoken personality, of more of a leader type. And, doesn't take away from his skill or him as a player. But that's something that SBB always stands above and beyond, is that he's able to play that role as that red Power Ranger, right?
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, he's definitely the hype man. If you watch these maps that they win, man, he is the first one up out of his seat. He's congratulating people. Giving the high five.
Yeah, man. He's getting them hype.
He's definitely the feel good. And bringing it back to who is he focusing on? That makes it really difficult for the enemy team to really what is SBB doing this week?
Yeah.
I mean, he really shakes up the comp and it makes it keeps you guessing.
And we'll talk about it later, where there are times when NYXL loses, they'll get rolled in certain maps and it doesn't phase them. It doesn't phase them. I mean, obviously, because they know they're number one. They've been stuck there for most of the season or all the season. But even when they lose, you can see him kind of okay, now what do we need to do, right? It's a very, even in my line of work, it's something we speak about where it's when people make mistakes, don't focus on what happened, focused on what can be done to avoid the mistakes in the future. And I get that completely when I watch them play. And it's damn near impressive. So Los Angeles Valiant, man, this is a shout out to you guys. If any of you guys listen to this cast, just keep moving forward, man. Keep making progress. Keep getting better. You guys are going through a rough spot, so get past it. You're a good team.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're all good teams besides Dragons, but yeah.
Yeah, we definitely saw it in stage 1, man. You guys have a lot of potential and want to see you get back up there on top.
All right.
But yeah, so this will get us into the extra mat.
Our bonus.
Yeah.
I like you guys so much.
Yeah, I mean, just watching this map after watching, Los Angeles get beat up, I was like, man, we need to talk about somebody winning.
Yeah.
And so it was Boston versus Los Angeles, the last match of the day. Boston ends up taking it 3-2, but Gladiators make it tough on them for map 3 and 4.
Okay.
Where it looked so Gladiators coming into this needed to win all 4 matches to make it to the playoffs.
Okay.
So the last match of the night, we don't know what's going on. They needed it, and I don't think Stryker gives them a win. Stryker is so good that he's not going to let them get 4-0'd. So a long shot, but still cool. The Gladiators had a chance going into it.
Yeah.
So map and match, man, they're so close. Keep getting them mixed up. Map 1, Volskaya. Biggest thing that stuck out to me, man, was Shaz. Yeah, he picks whatever he wants.
We always talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Los
Shaz
Angeles,
Shaz
Shaz is like,
plays what he
I'm going to
wants.
play Genji. They're like, Shaz, can you play Zenyatta? And he's like, nah, I think I'm gonna play Genji. He's that guy on your ladder. Like, hey man, they got a fair. You mind not trying to Junkrat right into his face? He's like, nah, I'm going to do it. That's Shaz. The biggest thing on Volskaya is, man, Los Angeles gets onto the point on offense. After Boston gets a pretty steady time bank. They have like 3 or 4 minutes left, but Gladiators on offense, they get to the point 2. They have 5 or 6 minutes left, and Boston comes out, wipes them completely, and then they never let them get back on the point. They fight right outside that gate, and I think the confidence is shooken so much by the Gladiators. They're like, man, these guys are fighting us right almost in our spawn the entire time. Even if we kill somebody at this point, they already wiped us after we wiped them completely. I mean, if we kill one guy, what is this going to do? They're going to wipe us again.
It's crazy to watch that kind of situation, especially when we talk about how valuable time bank is. It's not absurd knowledge, but a huge time bank is a value thing. Yeah. And then we talk about getting picked is not valued. You don't want to get picked. So when they put themselves in a situation to essentially get picked, it's like, but still succeed. Very impressive. It's a very power move, alpha move.
Yeah, especially after a full team wipe to come out there, kill them completely, dude.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. But yeah, so Boston takes that one, takes us in the lead, Jang, where Boston continued to win. They just needed to win 1 to keep Gladiators out of the playoffs. They said, nah, we're going to take the second one.
They're going to be a problem next stage.
Oh, most definitely.
They're going to be a problem.
We definitely saw this team struggling early on, and when I say struggle, they had a pretty intense. They had some intense games going forward. They had some pretty tough matches, and they were getting used to not playing Mercy. But man, they are looking dominant now. Not playing as much Mercy, but playing this real strict dive stuff. Stryker is killing it, dude.
Yeah,
that is. I put him up there with easily Carpe and Prophet. And
really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think let me see.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but it's one of those things where let's not forget, Boston Uprising was in the running in that first playoff contentions. They were out there.
They were close.
Because Dream Casper's just that good.
Yeah. Let's see if I can pull this up. But I think I put it on here. I know they go to 5, but I think Stryker has like almost 70 kills.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Just so. 68 kills, 30 deaths over 5 maps. 5 maps is a lot of maps.
Okay.
So the Dream Casper not far behind him with 58 kills.
You're right. So that ranks up there as far as top tracers.
Yeah, kill death ratio, insane. But he gets some big pulses on Li Zhang, messes up the supports, and Dream Casper does some insane work on the Pharah. And I put it down here, Dream Casper dueling hydration, which is pretty crazy as far as hydration. We know him as a really good Pharah player. The commenters say, how does this dude fly with stones that big? Because he's coming at He's coming at dude with 30 HP.
Yeah.
No mercy on him. Hydration's coming right at his spawn. He says, "Fuck it, dude. I'm coming at you with 30 HP."
Oh,
and the commentator's a little taken aback, like, "Dude, this guy's really going for it.
Yeah.
Who cares?" Yeah. But so they take Li Jing pretty dominantly, and that brings us into map 3, where Gladiators make a turnaround. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. So Surefour steps it up, winning most of the battles with Dreamcaster, which is pretty insane because Dreamcaster's Widow this week has been pretty insane, and last week as well.
Yeah.
Surefour steps it up, wins almost all of the battles versus him.
Which is, we talked about Surefour having issues against Carpe, right, when it came to sniping duels. So to see him be able to step it up against Dreamcasper, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And then Shaz playing what he wants again.
Yeah, and this has kind of took me by I'm watching the map. I'm like, oh man, that's an EMP. I haven't even seen anybody playing Sombra. Shaz come out with EMP, and which is kind of crazy because when he's playing these off heroes, we see him a lot on the Zenyatta and the off flex support role. He gets his ult pretty quickly. Got his ult pretty quickly on Mei. Got his ult pretty quickly on Genji, and even quicker on Sombra. Gets a quick MP, really takes the guys by surprise, and they're able to win the map off of it. And then Gladiators just hold it real tight on the first point of Hollywood. Hydration just causing a lot of problems on Junkrat.
Okay.
Yeah. Taking us Route 66. This is the second map they win of the match. Surefour continuously, keeping Dreamcasper in his place on the Widow. And other than that, Striker, still being Striker.
Yeah.
Causing a lot of havoc in the back line of the Gladiators.
That's one thing with Striker is that, we talk about sometimes he's not on top of his game, but once he gets in the zone, he doesn't really lose it. It's like he stays on fire for the remainder. It's just how long does it take for him to get in that flow?
Yeah. And then Ilios, the Gladiators take map 1 after 99%, and you're like, man, this is going to be it. This is going to be the reverse sweep.
Yeah.
But Boston ended up taking map 2 and 3.
Yeah. They didn't get the maps they needed.
No.
They needed all 4. And that's
all 4.
That same thing happened in the previous Fusion map where they needed all 4. But because everybody else getting upset kind of worked out in their favor anyways in the long term.
Yeah.
I guess that takes us to, the end of the week before the playoffs. And that put us at the top 3 being New York Excelsior at 1, number 2 being London Spitfire, number 3 being your Philadelphia Fusion.
Yeah. Which is kind of crazy, not seeing Seoul up here. Had a dominant early stage.
Yeah.
Stage 2, we thought we'd see 3 mainly Korean teams be at the top 3,
Yeah.
but Philadelphia able to push themselves in the top 3.
Which is good. Which is good for morale. Nothing against Korean teams, but we mentioned in our earlier episodes that there was a lot of talk at the beginning where a lot of South Korean teams were like, "Why does OWL even exist?" Because Korean teams are the best. And if you would have ended up in a situation, that time we had Houston up there, where it was a case where it wasn't all 3 Korean teams. And this time, once again, we don't have that. And I think that's for the best because it shows that everybody's good. Every region has their set of players. And if you have your right mix and match, then, you'll have that representation of everybody in the league. And I hope this sends a message to get some other people more invested to say, oh, we were kind of wrong on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but looking forward to the playoffs, man. We're definitely gonna, kind of wrap this up. We're gonna do an episode on the playoffs as we did with the first stage 1. That's where this all started. Right, we're keeping it going. So we're gonna have a separate episode with those playoff matches. But for now, was there anything? I didn't really have anything outside of the matches today to talk about. We talked about the Valiant stuff, which kind of dominated this week as far as news.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. I couldn't stop watching those.
It took a while for Clay to convince me to watch them, and I
They're
did.
so cringy, man.
The internet made it feel worse or sound worse than it actually was, because I watched them all again from episode 1 all the way through 4.
Yeah.
But it is weird to watch the transition, and then kind of think about week to week what was going on, right? That what we saw during the game versus what's happening on the outside, everything makes sense now. One story I told you was that some guy that watched the map where they got rolled by NYXL, I believe.
Yeah.
They saw Agility's outside, and they said he was getting into a minivan who they think with a woman who they think was his mom, and he was walking around, just kind of pacing outside, not too far from the stadium or from the venue, pacing outside with his book bag on, just looking super sad, and then got into the car. And the joke that followed was, did she take him to In-N-Out?
Oh, jeez. You think she had that same thing? She's like, look, Agilities, we'll give you one more try, or you're out of the family.
Or you're out of the family.
Yeah.
In-N-Out really getting some publicity, man. I wonder if their numbers are going up.
I'm a little upset that the South has not capitalized on this fine establishment. Because damn, I'm hungry for an In-N-Out burger right now.
But all right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Always thanks for listening. But you can reach us. Email us. Let us know your thoughts. If our voices are annoying, if there's something we should be talking about, if there's something we shouldn't be talking about, if it should just be like an hour of silence, let us know. You can reach us at thebirdwatcherspodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at @thebirdwatchers. Watchers is spelled WATCH3RS. We're on Facebook at The Bird Watchers. We're on Reddit at The Bird Watchers Podcast, YouTube at The Bird Watchers, and then Instagram too. We did that a couple weeks ago at The Bird Watchers Podcast. So at any of those, ping us, message us. You can follow, you can like. Just kind of contact us. Let us know what's up. Keep us in the loop. If there's something we should read, let us know about that. But as usual, thanks for listening. Letting us ramble for a bit. Just two randos.
Yeah.
And a shout out to for our themes again.
Yeah. Oh, the Lizard game, man. Killing it. Yeah. Putting an end song on there for the last episode.
Man, I did. He surprised us with that one because I didn't even notice. I listen to all our podcasts so we could do better. And it's one of those things I listened to, and I was like, wait, another track? So if you guys haven't made it to the end, even if you don't listen to the whole podcast, go skip to the end. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sweet. Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right.
Tune in for that playoffs episode.
Take it easy.
I have destroyed more of your kind than I can count.
You weren't given those guns to toss them around like trash.
I don't take lessons from you.
Try not to get us killed out there.